do blacklists work? Do whitelists work? Well, blacklist is not a good approach. Why is it not a good approach? Well, we might first have a blacklist that's okay for the current situation, but then new sites come, and then even more new sites come. It takes about 5 minutes to set up an ad fraud site, a completely legitimate looking website, kind of like a viral news or fake news or whatever it may be. It is taking 5 minutes to set up such a site. And the site looks good, it's getting the content from content syndication, and it takes very little time to get the traffic going on that site. It takes a day or two to get that site or a bunch of sites to get them on an ad network or an ad exchange. So when that's the case, and on the other hand, we have maybe kind of 10 million, that's at least order of magnitude, 10 million websites in the programmatic ecosystem, open exchange ecosystem at any given point in time. When you consider these two things together, 10 million sites in the ecosystem and the ability to create new ones in few minutes, then it doesn't make much sense to try to use an approach such as blacklisting to address this problem. Whitelisting, anyhow, is a much better approach. It is not enough by no means alone, but let's say that if we have a site list of few thousand sites that is living continuously, it's not a static list. We might have a different list for different types of campaigns. And for every campaign, as we go to the next, we learn from the previous one. This type of approach to whitelisting can be very powerful, especially when it doesn't exclude long-tail niche websites. Like, for example, if you are a car manufacturer, to make sure that your ads are being shown on the blogs that are specifically focused on your brand. Let's say there are a lot of BMW blogs out there. Blogs just focused on BMW with super targeted audience that really appreciates the content that is available on those blogs. It is those kinds of sites that can really make or break a campaign. And having the ability to include many sites like that on your whitelist is vital to success when we talk about whitelisting in general. And whitelisting is also very important to consider in the sense of competition. Because if you use a whitelist and your competitor uses a whitelist, and then your whitelist is kind of static and it doesn't evolve from campaign to campaign, you cannot change it much from one product to another product, but your competitor can. Yours doesn't include niche blogs about the category of products that you're focusing on, but your competitors does. Well, needless to say, now you have a notable disadvantage in a highly competitive marketplace. So it is very important to understand that when we consider these various strategies to addressing the ad fraud problem, is that we should not compromise what's good about online advertising. What makes online advertising interesting in the first place in the modern kind of programmatic ecosystem, in the programmatic context, is that we do have a lot of sites we can include in our media buys. We do have a lot of really interesting content creators that we can include in our media buys, or we can include their properties in our media buys. And at the same time, we're encouraging those content creators with our ad revenue or with our ad budgets to create more content like that, content that's actually really useful for our customers, the people that we're interested in, and that's helping us to drive our business. So it's really, really important to not consider ad fraud as a one-dimensional thing where we need to block ad fraud. We need to consider online advertising as a whole, where ad fraud is a threat to our media investment. And when we start to address that threat, we need to consider all these different factors together with it. And whitelist is one of those examples of strategies where when really we do it right, it can really mitigate the risk, it can really help us reduce that exposure, especially when we combine it with something like, for example, a verification solution or two different types of verification solution, maybe an open source solution and one verification solution. Well, we're now really reducing our exposure, but at the same time, we don't have to reduce the positives, like, for example, long-tail niche sites of content creators that really do matter to our customers and whose content really helps drive our business.